Welcome back to another episode of the Second Look Hockey Podcast. As always, I'm your host, David Leo. Joined with me, as always, Cristian. Behind the camera, producer Alex Mandarino. We might get him on a little bit later. But, Cristian, what a great time to be a sports fan. We've got March Madness going on. We've got the NHL ramping up its playoff push, the start of the F1 season. Again, I know we talked a little bit about that last week. Did Ferrari do any better this week?
I don't want to talk about. No, you know what?
Yeah,
Like, no,
that
like
wasn't
honestly,
good.
like you can copy paste a lot of this stuff I said. Like, I had a very similar weekend where it was like the double whammy of Leafs lose, and Ferrari not good. Quite literally as bad as you can possibly do. The race was at 3 a.m. and I was out for a buddy's birthday, and I got home probably like 2:30, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm already half an hour there. Let me try to stay up. I made it like 10, 15 minutes into the race. And thank God that's as far as I made it, because I woke up and basically, long story short, Lewis Hamilton disqualified for
Nice.
not damage, but basically the underneath of the car has to be a certain width by the end of the race, or else you're disqualified for like your
Uh,
car being too low and like losing too much of the plank. So that happened.
so is
And
that
then
on
Charlotte
him or
no, it's
team?
it's it's totally on the team. Totally on the team.
Oh, nice, nice.
As is tradition, and Charles Leclerc, what was his? Oh yeah, his car was underweight. And yeah, like specifically why we don't know, but that's also totally on the team. So even just like listen to a podcast this morning, I read people's comments about it. It's insane how similar it is reading like people comment about their Leafs passion, and it's the goddamn same crap with Ferrari. Like you can just
Yeah,
insert Leafs Ferrari into these sentences; they're interchangeable.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely not an
Except
escape.
one's in
Yeah,
Italian.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, lots of Mamma Mia memes with the pasta and the chefs
Yeah,
and the yeah, like you get
they're
a
not
bit of
cooking.
Italian flavor. Yeah,
They're
I
just
think the
not
best thing
cooking.
that's happened for me sports wise this weekend, I literally just looked at the box scores. And I saw that the Gators won their Sweet 16 matchup. I'm like,
That
oh,
was going to be my
I
next
have a
question. You got
Gators
the
hat,
Gators hat
right?
on.
I don't I couldn't name a single player on the Gators for you. I literally just saw the box score and I'm like, this is the only win I can get this weekend. So I don't know if you had anything else fun
Fun,
happen
no,
sports wise for you, but
funny story. I was gonna wear the. I have a Gators hat as well. We both bought one when we went to
correct,
Florida.
correct.
I did. You know what, dude? I love March Madness. I did sprinkle a little twinkle twinkle on the Florida Gators to win the national champion.
Oh, okay,
I don't know.
we can
I got
share
a
in this
feeling.
victory then, Dave. Let's
Yeah,
go.
I do. I enjoy. I don't know. For some reason, I just like the Gators. I like their logo, so that's why I was like, thing.
Yeah,
And also, this week we've got the return of Blue Jays baseball. That's why I got my Jays hat on.
of
This
course,
Thursday
yes.
is the home opener. So
Y-
I'm
y-
excited. I'm excited
yeah,
for Jays, but I can't get fully invested until like whenever the Leafs are out. So like
yes.
early
You
May,
know what? I've got one non-hockey thing for you before we get to the rest of the episode
the
could be
actual
hockey.
hockey.
You know what I was really looking forward to today, and it's still hasn't happened yet, but I wanted it to happen under different circumstances. We've got Canada versus USA in soccer in a third place
That's
match for
right.
Concacaf.
I was
You know,
so
I was
disappointed,
really,
dude.
yeah, I was really pumped for the potential of even if it was just Canada versus Panama, whatever. But we're getting the right
Just
matchup, just in
winning,
the wrong
just
game, though. Yeah,
just
yeah,
winning that
winning
game
beats everything. Yeah,
would have
but
been yeah.
it felt like the
I
stage was
can't
going to
even
be set.
tell you how like I was immensely disappointed. Um, especially because Mexico soccer right now,
Yeah,
hands down, some of the most passionate soccer fans like I've ever seen. Like they are like they're
different
so
flavor of passion than we're
they are
used to maybe in
yeah,
Toronto. But yeah,
quite a bit. You're right, but they are very passionate. I will say
yeah,
I've met a few Mexican soccer fans, nice people, but they are very passionate. The actual Mexican Federation has been so piss poor. Talking about mismanagement from the top, Mexico soccer is the golden goose of all of the just brain dead
yeah.
laps. Like I can't even go through some of the stuff like that they've done. There's just so much corruption. And I was like, oh, this is right because Canada, sorry, Mexico's was on a bit of like a poor spell. I think they just got a new manager and that type of stuff as well. So I was like, oh, this is perfect for Canada to advance to the Nations League final. Perfect for them to get some silverware. And they lost to Mexico, missing the chance to play Panama in the final, which I think they match up pretty well. Panama's honestly got a sneaky strong, they're not like a talented team, but they play very well as a unit, and that's always something to watch out for. Um, I will say though, I am pretty confident in Canada going up against the States because if there's any team that's more incompetent
I was
than
gonna say,
the
like we've got
the
three of the four
Mexican,
here, right?
if there's anybody more incompetent than the Mexican Soccer Federation, it's the United States
Yeah,
Soccer Federation. They have mismanaged some great talents on their team. I could literally go on a 40-minute tangent about
yeah,
how much I just dislike not I hate the states already, but I also hate the way that they treat the people that are employed under them. It's awful. But we'll save that for a
yeah.
rainy day. Hopefully Canada wins. And on that note, if you got anything else, I think we could just hop into
Let's
some of our topics.
let's just talk hockey here, brother. Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
go.
All right. So March 17th, the Board of Governor meetings happened in
GM meetings, NHL
that's
GM
right.
meetings.
The
Yeah,
GM meetings happened in Manalapan, Florida. And they were
Definitely heard of Manalapan before.
yeah, hopefully that's near Miami because I'm not too sure what part of Florida that
Knowing
is.
how these guys spend these GM meetings on lounge chairs and soaking up the sun, I'm sure it's really nice there right now, wherever Manalapan is.
So, do you
Yeah.
want to hear a quick summary of the GM meetings? This comes straight from the
Okay.
NHL website.
Okay.
Lots of scoring, few shootouts, tight competition. That is a quick summary of what they talked about over the 3 days.
Sounds like some propaganda.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I fully believe. There's got to be some more things in there for
It
the
was they
GM.
all they all gathered in the hotel lobby, turned on the PowerPoint, and it was just three slides with those sayings, and that was it. They wrapped it up after that.
So one topic that was discussed and lack thereof, there wasn't any rule changes. I don't know. Has there been calls for anybody to I don't think rule changes has been a topic of conversation as much as the like explain maybe like the clarification of rules. Does
Nothing
that fall
like
under the
out of
same?
the like I would say nothing out of the norm. Like we've come into these types of meetings, whether that's like they do like two NHL GM meetings a year, plus the board of governors, like you mentioned there. So I feel like we always are gonna have people asking for something, right? So specifically rules wise right now, like what's super top of mind? No, it's like you're saying, like I think the biggest thing is people keep on wanting more efficiency in like the review process for all of the different types of reviews that we can have on goals, right? So
Yeah.
I and
And
Mando's
also
got here
maybe
yeah,
like
sorry.
more I think another one was like streamlining the process a little bit more to kind of like take away from the length of the
Yes,
reviews. I know
exactly.
that
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
been a big topic of conversation. I do have a
Yeah.
question for you though.
Yeah.
Since we've introduced the top, like say, like this could go across all sports because I noticed this especially in soccer. Would you rather a shortened length of time, would you rather like a time limit on some stuff being reviewed at the expense of accuracy, like 100% accurate calls?
Yeah. Okay. Or sorry, that was it.
Or
Yeah,
or
yeah.
would you rather the inverse?
Yeah, yeah.
Like how kind of how we have it now.
Yeah. I I probably lean more towards I'm okay for stuff to take a little bit longer if it gets us more accuracy, but I think we're coming from a place that I'm probably in the minority because I think you want to quote unquote grow the sport. You want to bring in quote unquote casuals and you want to respect their time. I think that's something that the MLB just in general by putting in like the pitch clock games have been shorter. I think that's been a huge success. Just for whether that's the TV viewing experience, like just sitting down to watch a game, or if you're at the actual ballpark, I've really enjoyed the games being a little bit faster, right? So I think anytime you can cut out necessary time is a win. Um, I feel like the biggest like the limiting factor, and I think at some point um we'll get this is just like more technology involvement. Whether that's like a chip in the puck eventually. Like you think about stuff like I can't remember what game it was, but this weekend we had a call where it was like did the puck cross the goal line? Um
Was it?
I don't
Oh, okay, okay. I
yeah,
was about to
I
say, I
remember
was
seeing
thinking,
the screenshot, but I couldn't tell you which game it's from. And it was called no goal. And just
yeah,
based off the still frame I got, you're sitting there and at least thinking to yourself,
it's very
is
inconclusive.
it? Right? So like we gotta eventually
Even
have like the chip technology to get that done faster, right?
who was it? Was it Nick Suzuki who was called? Was the goal not called back for offside because like
That's another one too, right? Like that's anytime you're involving like just a plane of existence or just a line on the ground, like you feel like that's something where the technology will help you out. Obviously, we play this game on ice, so maybe it's a little bit trickier than just grass on a soccer field or
yeah,
tennis
or
court or
like a
whatever.
clay, yeah.
Yeah, but I think eventually we'll get there. Anyways, I think that's less the conversation of what we got to in these GM meetings. Do you want to get into
Yeah,
kind
so
of
the
one of the
first
things they did? Yeah.
Yeah, first I mean we so they are opening up expansion talk. I think that's the first thing we can kind of get into. They tipped Dan Friedkin and the Friedkin Group um as a potential owner going to Houston. It kind of seems like we've talked about it before. It seems like expansion is happening. It's going to be happening again. I don't know if I've said this on this podcast, but I had a guess of four new teams by 2030, or at least four announced new teams by the end of 2030. We've heard so much about Houston. We've heard so much about Atlanta. It kind of I don't know if we didn't get anything from this GM meetings, but we did hear stuff before about people that are potentially interested in bringing like a whole district to the. I don't think it's in downtown Atlanta. I believe it's in nearby Athens, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be like the state of Atlanta team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like
Um,
Anson Carter's group or
Sorry, like the
whatever, I
state of
think, right?
Georgia.
Yeah.
That's my mistake.
Sorry, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But they would still be called the Atlanta something. I think that's kind of like the guess.
You gotta
And
if they brought the team back, would you go back to Thrashers or would you start anew? To be honest, I kind of think you have to do Thrashers, personally.
I mean, you have the Jets, so I wouldn't see. I think the state of Georgia deserves the Thrashers, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know if they
I like
want
I would
it, but
love
they deserve it.
see, but this is the thing is there is so little fans in the first place that you basically already like started with the
They're
clean slate. Like you can
the
already build a new quote unquote
the
fan
problem
base
was
and they don't have the tainted memory.
they did have the fan base. The problem was that they
Yeah.
bungled it from the beginning. Like they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
mismanaged it. I saw this one video. If I could find it again, I gotta find the person. I saw this one video just kind of detailing like the Atlanta Thrashers. It was like an hour long. You can find it on YouTube. I bet you if I typed in Atlanta Thrashers documentary, I could probably find it. But this
Yeah.
one person made a like one of the best documentaries just detailing everything, like the little minute details about the franchise. If I could find that, I'm gonna send it to you and I will shout out this person on our next podcast. I fully believe Atlanta as a hockey city can work if the ownership put in place is right. And
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
already seeing it with Utah, man. Like you got somebody that's involved and wants the that isn't treating the franchise like a personal piggy bank like some owners.
Also has a track record, right? Like in sports. So
Yes,
that's a big thing. Like, and so you said like they like as a hockey city, like we can even remove the hockey part, like just simply numbers
sports city
game, population,
as a city.
Atlanta's a market. Yeah, like literally just as a group of people in one area, they can
Yes,
support a hockey team. And then you add in everything else. And I would also say, think about the difference between when the Thrashers were originally a expansion team versus what the expansion process has looked like for the Golden Knights and the Kraken. Like the NHL is also doing a better job of making sure an expansion team can succeed, right?
dude,
Like
it's so
night and
beyond
day.
me. It is beyond me how the Well, like the Senators had a pre-built-in fan base, but how the Columbus Blue Jackets and like the Nashville Predators in particular survived all this
Against all
time,
odds, yeah.
they are quite literally like the nuclear cockroaches. Like they just refuse to die. There's an element of like
Yeah.
luck in your franchise and hiring people to like scout and develop young talent and that type of stuff that maybe Atlanta was put in a position uh they were the problem was that they weren't put in a position to succeed. Like sometimes luck has to go on your side, and it just seemed like Atlanta in general had no luck, but the
Yeah.
league also didn't put them in a position like
They
Vegas
they
and
struck out
Seattle.
on yeah, they struck out on all the possible variables. Like it's like, well, if you don't have luck, you better have a good owner. Well, if you don't
Yeah.
have no luck and no good owner, you better have a league that puts you in like supports you. Well, if you don't have that, like you know how many
Yeah,
times can
you're
you do it until
SOL,
you're done?
basically, right? Yeah.
And so yeah,
And
I
so
you
that's
mentioned like the
why,
video, like this Atlanta video. Like I'm just imagining the timeline in my head. It's just like awful, awful. Ilya Kovalchuk, really good. Awful, 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 awful. Like
and they weren't
that's
even
the history to me.
they were good. Like here's the thing, like
Yeah.
they were good for like they only made the playoffs twice. And
Mm.
I don't think they won a game in a single play, like in a play, or maybe they won once. So it's like you can't build a fan base like that. Like I'm sorry, like that
No,
just
no.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even the Phoenix Coyotes, like in their first like 5
They had
years,
a
they
conference
yeah,
finals, and in the
conference.
COVID bubble year, they also they beat the
I'm
Predators
saying
in the qualifying round.
in the first 5 years of existence, they made a cup final, or I think a conference final.
Yeah, yeah, conference final, not
In
cup
their
final.
first
Yeah,
5 years of existence. Like, dude, Atlanta, it took them 10 years to even make the playoffs, like the first time. Sorry, Kate, we're getting off topic here, but I do have high hopes and excitement for new expansion teams coming in. I've heard the arguments against
yeah,
like about going up to like 36. I think it's inevitable, so it's like kind of swallow your pills now, like get out all your gripes now because it is happening whether we like it or not. There's just no conceivable world where you have the Atlanta, so the Georgia market, like the Atlanta and surrounding areas, and the Houston markets untapped. Like
yeah.
they are two of the biggest markets right now besides Phoenix, or like the
So
Arizona.
it basically feels like we have the four. Like, would you say that we have
We have three for
three or
sure.
okay? So four, you think it's still up for debate? Like, do you think in a wonderful future where there's peace and no economic war in Canada, the U.S. We can have that Nordiques franchise be back, or is that like we can't
Uh
even like have can't even dream there, right?
I
I don't
wish.
know. Yeah,
I wish
still
they
a
would
question
just
mark though.
I
Okay,
wish the NHL would throw us a bone and just, you know, the problem is with the Nordiques is they would lose money. Like I
yeah,
think that's a
I like
given.
definitely right now. Like, there's no way you're putting them like even
So
like forget about even ahead of Houston, Atlanta. Like if like the
yeah,
opportunity
they
came
are
up for
four.
expansion right now, like they yeah but you're probably even just saying no. Like they could have everything figured out, like you're saying, and the NHL could still be like, this isn't a for sure slam dunk for us. Like get a pass right now. Yeah,
So the
Houston or
Winnipeg
Atlanta. Yeah, okay, you got
sorry,
something?
like
Go
the
ahead.
Winnipeg Jets right now, they still operate on like on a loss. The only reason why they really still have a team and why they were brought in was because their owners like they have deep
One of the
pockets.
richest. Yeah. Yep.
They are genuinely the richest family in Canada, and like that's a big reason why they're still like that they're in Winnipeg, and we're thankful for I believe it's the Thompson family. I'm thankful for them there
Yeah,
because
Thompson and Chipman, I think are the
yes, the
two, right?
Chipman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm thankful because like the problem is that you need somebody else like that. Like who else is going to carry on that load? Like I don't know if you could find somebody like that in the Canadian market knowing that they're going to be working on an operating loss year over year. Like you're just
yeah,
not going to break even, maybe not for like 10 years, but at least there's like kind of like a guarantee in Houston, Atlanta.
yeah.
I even heard New Orleans.
It's
I
a weird one.
it's weird, but dude, I think hockey in New Orleans would be a great time. I think
I
that
mean,
would
who
genuinely be a
thought
great.
hockey in Vegas would be like as 10 out of 10 as it's been? Like, I think people could
I
have said
think it
like,
would
yeah, they'll
be
survive. People were already saying like, oh, the Raiders are going there. They're going to be in the shadow like within a couple years, right? Like, remember that was definitely the talk. And I mean, listen,
They
NFL on the
they're
whole,
never going to accept the Raiders because the Raiders aren't their own. They accepted the
yeah.
Golden Knights because like the Vegas Golden Knights
Uh,
are their
dude, you
own.
were in Vegas. Did you see more Raiders or
Oh,
Knights merch?
see, now
Right?
it's tough because now I went 2 years in a row, and both years the Raiders have been hot ass. Like they've been bad.
Yeah,
So not
yeah,
only did you like rip a franchise out of their beloved home, you put them
yeah,
in a different city that doesn't even really want them there. If Vegas
yeah.
got an NFL team and they got an expansion team, that's a different story. We're talking about apples to oranges here. But the NFL, they decided to move the Raiders out of Oakland and kind of just throw them in Vegas. And the people in Vegas know what a facade looks like. You go to the casino, you know what when something's like a cheap trick, right? And that's kind of what the Oakland, like sorry, the Vegas Raiders are. The
Yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights, on the other hand, are like going to the Venetian
Full
and watching
value
a
of your
show.
dollar, brother. Yeah,
Full value, dude.
yeah,
100%. And that's why they embraced that franchise more than the Raiders
yeah.
so far. And that's what gives me hope with um another team in Atlanta, another team in Houston, a team in Houston, another team in Houston because they had a team before, and a team in a city like New Orleans. I think hockey in the South, if done right, can be a success. I think it can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I have a question to pose to you here. Can you give me any type of insight on Mr. Friedkin here, considering his soccer ties with
Okay.
Serie A, Roma, and Everton, please?
Yes. Okay, so like on the field, both Everton and Roma have been struggling. Everton in particular, like I talked to you about United like all the time. Like United is struggling, brother. We are in the depths right now. We're in like Man United's in like 12th. I think Everton's in like 14th.
Okay.
They and they've had multiple years now in a row of like 14th, 15th.
Yeah.
But also it's not on Friedkin either. So they were Everton in particular, I know a lot more about than Roma, even though I should
Yeah.
probably know a little bit more about Roma, but I could talk to you about Everton. So Everton was owned by another consortium before that who pumped in a lot of money.
Hmm.
And they fell in the realm of, oh, we're gonna throw enough money at highly rated stars to bring them in and also not supplement like the youth system. And we're gonna give these stars um billions, like jillions of money, like all the
Yeah.
wages is going to be spent on these big money stars, and that's what's going to get us into the upper echelon. It's like, no, that's not really how you build a team,
So sorry, you said this
especially
is the previous owner or this
previous owners doing
yeah.
this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then the previous owner also had plans to move the team into a new stadium as well. They were like, they were gonna do all this stuff at once, and this guy was gonna, he threw so much money into the fire,
Yeah.
to the point where
Sounds like he was very in over his head.
way in over his head, to the point where I think he nearly went bankrupt, if I'm not
Dear
mistaken.
God.
Like they were
Yeah.
very close to insolvency, and the Friedkin Group had to come in and
Okay.
kind of collect the scraps and collect the
Okay.
carcass. And they've slowly been making Everton into the team that they like. That is a team with strong, like a very, very strong and uh like strong fan base. They're not very like they're not a global team as much as like Liverpool, who play down the street. Like Liverpool's a global
Yeah.
brand. They
Yeah.
play down the street from Everton, so it's tough to compete. But
Always going to be the little
Everton,
brother. Yeah.
yes, but like we saw in Manchester, Man City and Man United, like the little brother has kind of had, well, they have surpassed the older brother in terms of like success.
Yeah.
Uh, and just recently, the Friedkin Group just moved Everton out of their home for, I think it's like over 120 years. They were
Man.
playing out of Goodison Park. If you watched the first Creed movie, that's where they shot the main event. It was in Goodison Park because that character I think was like an Evertonian, like he was a big Everton fan, and they shot it in Goodison Park. Beautiful stadium. But it was definitely falling by the wayside, and they moved it to like a new stadium that just opened up. I don't know if the team started playing in there yet, but maybe they will come next season. They have like loaned it out to other teams to play, if I'm not mistaken. I forget exactly what it is, but they will be moving in there, and it's like state of the art, billions of dollars. So that is what the Freakins, they have the money basically.
Okay,
Um,
but they have the money, and you're also saying though they didn't throw it willy nilly like the last guy. They're doing it the quote unquote right way. And we know
yes,
that the NHL is a very different sport than soccer, where you don't have to, maybe hire, like you still have a scouting department, but the NHL draft is a thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to go and just
go
pick
to different leagues.
kids out of who knows where. Yeah, like, yeah, you don't have to do crazy stuff like that. So basically, I'm hearing good things about Mr. Friedkin. Okay. I like.
Yeah. There is a
Um,
there is a bit of a like there is a track record.
okay.
I do want to do a little bit more research
Yeah.
on him because the teams right now that they're in control of are not, I don't think they're like at the finished state
Yeah.
basically. I
Yeah.
think I want to give them maybe a couple of years before we start judging what
I mean, the
they've done.
NHL is maybe in that mindset too, right? Like it does. I don't think like expansion is going to be imminent here. Mando has a question here in this doc that I think is one that a lot of people ask whenever expansion comes up. Just about if there's enough talent to fill out rosters. Like let's even say, let's not even go to 36. Let's just say Houston and Atlanta become things in the next. Let's even just say 5 years is too short. Let's say 5 to 10 years. We'll do it as a window. Um, do you think that like it quote unquote like dilutes the product if you expand that quick? Not even quickly, but like we're now getting to unforeseen numbers in North American leagues at large. Like there's no big league that's gone past 32.
Yes. Okay. So I have a thought on that because we're seeing like an increase in scoring. Like the league is undoubtedly probably at one of its most entertaining times like ever. And also just in terms of like drafted talent coming out of like the States and Europe, let like setting aside Canada right now, like it's gonna give that could give like 60, at least 60 players, you know, life. Like maybe that's a fringe AHL player who could probably play on a team. Like I think that there is talent. Like there is talent. We start probably diluting the product down though at like 40. I think 40 is when like
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
have enough talent to supplement at the very least 34 to 36 teams.
Me
I
too.
think
Like I don't think it's a problem if you end up having all the quadruple A guys that are in the AHL right now end up on NHL teams. Like I don't think that's a problem. Like is every team having an Alex Steves on their roster gonna make or break them? No. I don't
probably
think
not.
so. Like even if you say there's an Alex Steves on the forward group and you've got I don't know who's the Leafs Alex Steves on defense. Anyways, it's like yeah, like
Like a Philippe
Topi
Myers is
Niemela,
probably
yeah, Philippe Myers is a good, yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, Marshall Rafai. Okay,
Marshall Rafai. Yeah.
it's not going to make or break the league, I don't think. Goaltending is probably where you can make the biggest case. We're already seeing kind of the goaltending on the decline just in terms of like the raw numbers. I'm personally in favor of expansion. I don't know why like a diluted talent pool is that much of a deterrent for some people. Like I know some people are like really staunchly against that idea. Um, I think we're already leaning towards offense. I think it actually would vary maybe some of the skill sets that you see in the NHL. Just because, yeah, by necessity you have to bring in more guys in the league. Like a Matt Rempe is probably at that point not a staple, but he's not going up and down on the waiver wire or not waiver wire, but he's like getting recalled and sent down as necessary. Like, no, you now have that type of play style in the NHL. So I'm all for it. I've never been against expansion. you do probably have to spread them out for the sake of the other teams. Just in terms of, yeah, you don't want to spring two teams in expansion at once, and I don't think the NHL would do that. Um, yeah,
It'll
my
probably be
last
like
point.
it'll probably
Yep.
be like the Vegas and Seattle model where one comes in
Yeah.
like 1 year and
Yeah.
then maybe a couple of years later you kind of spread
Yeah.
that out. And then also not like the first team that gets put in, they're ineligible to be like for it to have players taken
Yeah.
from. I think was that not the rule for
That's
Vegas?
that's that was yes, that was. And I think some people were already saying like, oh, that's a little too generous to Vegas, which maybe it was. Maybe. And
Well,
I think
listen, I think we're just
that's
atoning for 50 years
yeah,
of
exactly, right?
bungled franchises.
Um yeah. Yeah. My last point on expansion stuff, if you bring back Houston, like I said with Atlanta, I want the Thrashers back. I
Give
would
me the
want
arrows.
Houston. Give me the Arrows. They have fantastic
Yeah.
branding and colors. I've seen mock-ups for like if Dallas had to do like a Texas hockey heritage night, like they look really nice. Yeah, I'd be so in on that branding. Like could not even imagine.
I love it.
I know
Yes.
Mando has here like the 3-on-3 stuff and the playoff stuff, and that Bettman he's historically not been a fan of either of these. So I don't know how much
Yeah.
time we have to spend on them because we didn't necessarily learn something
It's
new. As
just
much as we want
it's not
the three on,
happening. Yeah.
it's
It's not
not like
happening.
I if I had to choose one or the other, that I would prefer the change. Like if we had to hold Bettman at gunpoint, you got to change one of them, brother. You got to do one
Yeah.
change. It's the playoff format for me personally. You agree?
Now, okay, so is it something that we like
Like
see?
Gary
I
Bettman
think it's
has to choose
I
which is
think he
the
would
lesser evil.
rather I
Okay,
think he
what
would
should
choose
he rather?
the 3-on-3.
You're definitely right. You're very
It
right
just
that
it's
that's
so
what
much
Gary would
easier. It's
choose.
like,
Yeah,
but what's the
yeah.
3-on-3 like? What would be the proposed change? Like 10 minutes,
I think people have said like 7, 8 minutes is like the quote unquote happy medium. I
brother.
think it's
Give me. He would say, give me 10 minutes of three.
yeah.
I'll give
You're
you
right.
10 minutes of three on
You're right.
three instead of having the Toronto Maple Leafs play the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round of the playoffs.
You are right. Um, I I do prefer like I this has been like this is well, how long is this conversation now? Like what's it been
ten
since the
years,
change? 10 years, right? Yeah,
at
maybe even
least over
longer,
10 years.
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I even feel from the start, like I've been on the go back to 1 to 8, like go back
yeah.
to 1 to 8. I really don't think there's a problem with like you can have the Leafs and let's even reverse it just so I don't sound too biased here. Montreal gets the 1 seed, they play the Leafs in the 8 seed. Like who's complaining about an underdog matchup
I'll
in that sense?
I'll
Like I
give you
don't
another
know.
one. Like I okay, now this year we might see the two potential Stanley Cup favorites in the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche in the
Yeah,
first round of the playoffs. While listen, it's going to boost your numbers probably in the first round. Those are two fan bases that show up and show out for their teams. Like in terms of viewership and in terms of like ratings, like the
yeah.
actual games being played, that might be some of the best hockey we see. But what
I've
ends
I've
up
referenced
happening
this. Like I
is
think if you poll all the fan bases and you ask them like tell me like without picking your own team, who are your three or like even like your top five favorite teams to watch as a neutral? I think Abs and Stars are in almost
Avs,
everyone's,
Stars,
right?
Oilers, like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Even if
I'll
it's
be
not
on.
the
Yeah.
entertainment factor, just like which team do you like as a neutral?
Do you root for?
Stars and Abs absolutely pull very well.
And then the
Yeah.
biggest problem has been, we're getting some of those teams out in the first round. Um, and then by the time we get to the Stanley Cup Finals, like no offense to the Florida Panthers of would it be no, 2 years ago now, or 3 years ago when they went to the finals and they were like literally
2 years ago. Two
decimated
years ago.
two
Yeah.
years ago against the Golden
Yeah.
Knights. Like, they took down like the President's Trophy winning
Yeah.
Boston Bruins.
There is a scenario this year where you end up with a second round in the Western Conference that looks representative of what you would have expected. Like if you have like whoever wins Dallas, Colorado, if you have the Jets win their opening matchup, and then you have Vegas win theirs, and then the Oilers or even the Kings are now really hot. Like they might be deserving of the win anyways. But like you have a world where the second round looks about right. But yeah, that I would still much rather have that Stars Avs matchup in round two or in the conference finals. And I also think we're at the point with the Oilers Kings stuff. Are we excited to see it for a fourth year in a row
Just like
if it
how I'm
happens.
I'm excited as excited as I am about seeing the Boston Bruins in the first round of the playoffs. Like that's is that not
It's even
what
worse. It's even worse. Like we've never we've played the Bruins two times in a row. But we've never they've already done it three times. They're on the
and it
verge
could be
of a
for
fourth straight
yeah.
year of Kings
So
versus that's we have not seen this. I don't know when
and,
the last
and it
time just
also
in
doesn't
NHL we've
help.
seen it.
It also doesn't help it's one-sided. Like
That's
like
yeah. Yeah.
throw in
And
a win,
so
LA,
And
please.
so I haven't looked at if he did it the 1 through 8 format, how many times you'd still end up with Edmonton versus LA, but you maybe have one varied matchup in there. Like I honestly think we're at the point where that matchup, just in terms of how I'm ranking my hype to watch, like they're not that high. It's not. It's just I've seen it. I've already seen it. So that's the hill that I would prefer to down. But you're so right where yeah, if you had Bettman having to make the one change, he's not picking that.
He's not doing
He
that
would
one.
rather
Okay,
down that hill too. Yeah.
last thing. All-Star Game 2026. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. Personally, actually, I don't know. I do have a thought. If they want to do an All-Star Game leading into the Olympic break, so if you just set aside, let's say close to a month, let's say just over 3 weeks, but your All-Star Game is just contained to so if it's in Long Island, let's say, keep it in Long Island. You don't even need to make it a show. Leave it for the people in Long Island,
Just a local event.
local
Yeah.
event, bring some prospects, let them have a little like 3-on-3 tournament or whatever. If okay, honestly, if you want to televise it, that's fine. Make it one day. I don't need to see love Tate McRae. Don't need to see Tate McRae performing at the halftime again. I'll go watch the Grammys for that or something else. You know what I mean? Make it
SNL.
one day.
Yeah.
I'll watch her on SNL. Exactly. I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel. Make it one day, do a little skills comp, send the players off, and then that's it.
I I've got a more this is a thought that I've always had. I can lay it out after the break because yeah, I'm kind of leaning the opposite direction.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Okay, so then we'll chat more then after the break then. And we're back. Christian, just before the break, you said that you did have some thoughts. So just to think, I am in favor of just shortening the All-Star break. If they don't go through with it, man, I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
Would
But you
you
do have
are you
some
even like
thoughts
with that
against it.
though? Like next year's an Olympic year, so are you of that mind for just because of the Olympics or just even in general? Because I know like
Um,
Batman said, like the bar is raised because of Four Nations, and this is the thing
okay,
now with Four Nations and Olympics, we'd actually have it every like you'd only have it like every other year an
every
all-star event, right?
yeah,
So
okay. So I'm right now. How many years in a row have we done an all-star game? Like uninterrupted. Has it been like it's probably been 40
since
years,
well I guess I don't even remember if we do on the Olympic years that we've had like in 2014. I think there was yeah, like I don't know the last time we didn't have one, probably COVID,
right? Um
and that took a goddamn global pandemic, right? So like that's a exception to the
so
rule.
so we like didn't really have one in the global pandemic. It came back, right? Or even if we did, it wasn't like as its normal self, but then it came back and we got to see it like in full force. It literally came into our city. Like we were in the city for that event. And it just for me, it just kind of felt like another night. Like, okay, it was
Yeah, okay.
heightened. Like
Yeah.
in the city, it was probably like fun. But I'm I'm
This
gonna
goes back to like what you said, like the kids stuff, like in terms of like making it kind of
localized.
more just for local families, whatever. I think back to when I was a kid and like I would play the NHL video game and I would simulate like East versus West pretty often. And I remember it must have been like maybe 2012 when it was just like it was still East versus West, those blue versus red jerseys, and like being invested in Marian Gaborik winning the player of the game in the All-Star game, like for absolutely zero reason other than like, yeah, I like that guy in the video game. He plays for the Rangers now. Like that's cool. Yeah, like I you think my dad watched that game with me? Hell no. Hell no, right? So like maybe it is just like a for kids event, right? Maybe we just
Yeah,
aged out
I
of it.
mean, maybe that's what it is. I think
But
maybe
that isn't good for growth, right? Like that's Like you want to put on an event that everyone can watch.
Yeah, I mean, is it though? Because they have tried their best to integrate like we see it
It's
in
been
this
all
game.
gimmicks though, right? Like it's
Yeah, I guess you're
gimmick
right.
this,
Like, do
gimmick that.
kids, but do kids see through the gimmicks? Like,
I think
when did
this
you
is the thing
start
is I
seeing
think the
through it?
kids are watching anyway. Like the kids are watching no matter what. The kids
Okay,
just if
fair.
the kids love hockey, they're gonna watch the hockey on TV,
See,
right? Like when
now
we
the
were a kid, we
thing,
loved seeing Phil Kessel get drafted last. We That was hilarious to us, right? Like
now the thing for me though is like you look like we can compare the NBA all we want, but the NBA for the longest time was like the gold standard in terms of doing all-star
yeah,
games as
well
compared to the
this year,
rest. No, I know. Like
right?
I'm saying in
Yeah,
years past,
sure,
did
historically.
that ever feel like it was just marketed towards kids? You know what I
No,
mean?
that you're right. You're right. It was just yeah, it was never
It's just a fun
there was
time. It's
never
a
a
fun
slant.
event.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay.
I'm going in the opposite direction where I'm saying in like two Bettman's words, Four Nations raised the bar. I might have even like given this idea on the show. I can't remember, but I'll like flush it out here. If you want to illegitimize the All-Star game, like you make it something that has to be earned instead of just like the fan vote stuff. There's teams around the NHL, and not every club does it, but I know like the Oilers for sure do this. They hold their own skills competition at some point in the year, right? You open it up to the local fans and you host it at your arena one night on an off night. Okay. And there is some pride to that, right? Like I'm sure McDavid's won that award, or I think like Caleb Jones when he was an Oiler, he might have like challenged McDavid one of those years, or maybe even beat him. Like
For
the Seth
fastest
Jones, the
skater,
Jones Bros, yeah, yeah. The Jones Bros are known for their top
their
speed.
speed, yeah.
Anyways, like I would make it so that every single NHL team has to host their own skills competition, maybe before the new year. So anytime from the start of the season till the end of December, okay, you have to host your skills comp.
Okay.
And like you can the NHL can decide what events it has to be. Maybe it's just hardest shot, fastest skater. It would have to be like a lot of individual stuff, obviously, right?
Hmm.
But you go that route, and how many times would have like Ilya Mikheyev won the competition while he was with the Leafs, or like right, like you would have
Fastest skater,
had
yeah.
yeah, and like you would have had a much more accurate representation at the actual All Star game. Like imagine if it's like only the top 15 skaters. So like not even if you win like the Chicago Blackhawks skills comp are you guaranteed to go to the All-Star game. Like it can be like a
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm
I'm
starting to see what the
like
vision is.
you're
So
trying to
basically,
legitimize this and you want to
you
make it so
want
that it's almost like Olympic style, man. These
you
are
want
events that you got to come.
prelims.
Yeah, man. Like
Yeah,
let's lean
okay,
into
okay.
this. I would be so invested in seeing, oh my God, Pontus Holmberg is going up against Austin Matthews in the hardest comp finals or hardest shot finals. Like
Okay.
I'd be so
So
into that.
now here is the flip side. I just thought of one like
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know if
I
I've
want
heard this
counters to
thought.
this because like, yo, you hear I'm
Okay.
invested in this.
So
I'm already excited.
what happens when Pontus Holmberg makes it in and
Yeah.
Austin Matthews doesn't?
So this is like let's say Austin Matthews, for example, he's going through an injury. Like I honestly think he can like you can be allowed to hold out. Like we don't have LeBron in the dunk comp, right? We don't have Steph every year in the 3-point comp, right? You don't have always the best guys. And I think if you open it up to the entire league, there is absolutely enough talent where people will be excited with the final product at the All-Star game, right?
Yeah.
I think without a doubt.
I get that. I get that 100%. The thought though is they I don't think they want to see Pontus Holmberg there. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
We wanted to see John Scott at one point. We were fully bought in on that. If and it's not like you're not shoehorning like a guy in. They have to earn the right. Like
You're
if
right.
Ilya
Yeah.
Mikheyev is simply by fact the fastest skater on his team, it wasn't a gimmick. He went out and did that. And maybe it's in a year where yeah, like I said, Kasperi Kapanen right now, he's a teammate of McDavid. McDavid's injured right now. If that's the case, like there's enough depth where you can survive an injury to some guys some year. Like I think I think that would be going all in on something that works every year, no matter what, even in
Mm,
Olympic years or Four Nations years, because once again, you're talking about the whole league.
yeah,
If
instead of the
McDavid's not
select
available
few.
because he's going to the Olympics and it crosses over, like he can still tune in for the other guys. Like I'd be so into
Okay,
that.
so now
Maybe this is
is
too pie in the
that
sky though.
okay? So now we were talking about the NBA All-Star game, and we talked about it like
Yeah.
during the thing, like during like when it was on, and is in comparison to the Four Nations. Does that not also their crowning achievement for the past 20 plus years has been the dunk competition? Does okay, I guess there's really no event that equates to that in the NHL. But
It's like yeah, there's not really hardest
would we
shot.
start to see like Mac McClung, who's the G League
Yeah,
player
so the
and all
Mac
that stuff?
McClung,
Is
Martin
that
Fer
what we want to see though?
Martin Ferg
Like,
set the record in the
I
AHL.
get
Like
it.
he beat Chara's hardest shot in the AHL All Star comp, but like
I
that
get
made the
it.
rounds for a day.
I feel like the fanfare for Mac McClung winning as compared to Dwight
But
Howard
you
in
know,
2008.
definitely. But you know why? Because now Mac McClung has won it how many times now? Two times, three times. Like he's done it
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
times, and he doesn't go up against guys that are representative. Like that's almost a volunteer event, right? So with these trials,
Three
right? Like
times.
if you do these prelims, you like I said, you get the right guys there. You're not just
Yeah,
saying,
no, I get it. I'm
Mitch. Like, does anyone want to see Mitch Marner in the hardest skills shot competition, right? Hardest shot comp? Like, no,
yeah,
because he
yeah, he's
wouldn't be
not.
there on his own merit.
Yeah.
All the guys, it would be an all on merit event. I don't know. You want to bring in Mando
Okay.
here? Mando, you got anything
Yeah,
on this
I
or
think
like the
we
GM
should.
stuff? Yeah.
I'm having a tough time. Like I get it. I
The
listen.
logistics would be tougher. Like, this is now something you have to organize every year. You got to get a bunch of like every single team involved. That's another night on the calendar that they've got to be at home on and off night. Like, but to me, this is just my all in approach. That's what I would do if I was GM for day. This would be very high on like my things that I would try to implement list. Like it's pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah, Mando, I need another opinion here on this or the GM stuff that we talked
Yeah,
about.
whatever you got there.
We'll stick to All-Star game focused stuff because this is a good conversation you guys are having about it. I've always been of the mind of like it's not for me, but I don't like the All-Star game. I think it's fair to say it's like blanket statement, it's overblown, and the NHL, in a way, obviously this isn't the be all end all. They shot themselves in the foot with the Four Nations because now there's no chance of going back and trying to recapture that same glory. Now, it wasn't a bad thing because obviously Four Nations was incredible. And fun fact, obviously we know this, but it completely outshined the NBA All-Star weekend, right? Like everyone was like, "Oh
Yeah,
my God, the NBA took a subsequent like indirect shot because of being scheduled on the same weekend." But in general, like I've always been a fan of the skills competition. So if they could find a way to manufacture something where it's just skills competition in the NHL and you're completely removing the All-Star game altogether, that would be
Yeah.
great. They wouldn't do it, right? Because again, it's for the kids, it's for the sponsors, from what I'm hearing. Like the sponsors are obviously
It's
paying a lot of
big,
money, right?
big time. Yeah,
Anything
yeah,
money related, they're not going to make the difference. But I wonder if it would be worth it because, like, I think it just needs to be throw in the towel. Like this event is for kids. Let's not try and make the all-star fan voting because like who's actually voting and caring if Mitch Marner, for example, like we say, do we really care if he gets snubbed for the all-star game? Like if it just seems a little strange to me. If that's
yeah.
like the front of mind, it's more like, hey, is he going to sign and not, leave at the end of the year?
For
Um,
nothing. Yeah.
but like you see the NFL, for example, who did the Nickelodeon simulcast. They did the Simpsons simulcast for some of their games in the Super Bowl. Like, is there
That
a
was
way that the
fun.
NHL, right? It was fun. Is there a way that yeah, like Lisa Simpson just juking kids out and
Yeah,
throwing the
I
touchdown
saw
Gronk
Mos
spike,
I saw
right?
Moses like
Like
stiff arm somebody.
it's
It was
so
so
smart.
funny.
So if you could even just incorporate that for the All-Star game, is there a way where you can just buy all in like this is for kids? Let's try and monopolize the All-Star game towards that audience and just admit defeat and Bettman will never do that, but I just don't see it kind of resuscitating. The only other thought I had is just the playoff format. Like we already chatted about it a lot, but I just found it really interesting. I just did a quick like investigation as to how much the playoff format would change if we went to 1-8 this year. And based on points percentage, I know there's only 1 or 2 games difference between most teams, but based on points percentage, 5 out of the 8 matchups that currently exist in the way the playoff format is set would be the same in the current playoff format as it would be if we went to 1-8. The entire East would be the exact same. It wouldn't be the same every year. And I hate when Garry Bettman is right because he's so smug. He's a smart guy, but you could just see his smirk and his like head shake being like, yeah, I know, like we're not changing this. But at the end of the day, I want to see 1-8. I feel like it creates more opportunity for exciting matchups. Like we're excited to see, hopefully hopefully Toronto does get that first spot. But if Florida hangs on, the Tkachuk matchup in the first round, the opportunity even to see the Battle of Ontario in the first round would be cool. Now, you would see that opportunity the way that the playoff format is stacked as is, but it just opens it up to more opportunity for exciting matchups, I think. I don't want to see Edmonton, LA again. The only way I would want to see that, real quick, Dave, is funny because you guys were talking about it earlier. I think the past 3 years, obviously, they've faced off against each other. Edmonton has won in 7, 6, and 5 games consecutively. The only thing I'd want to see is a sweep.
Fulfill the prophecy.
And then maybe in 3 somehow.
Right.
That'd be the only thing.
Yeah. Definitely could.
I don't know.
I did want to say about the playoff format. I think the only way for us to see definitive changes is if we incorporate it depends on like the 1-8 system or however you want to sort it, like the system. What needs to change fundamentally though is the point system, because right now the point system with the 2-1-0, it incentivizes teams to just play for the loser point. If you also now add like winning in regulation, meaning something a little bit more, and you're adding points, like teams that have like the most regulation wins, or like that have like the second most regulation wins, and
3-point system, but with like some tiebreakers where regulation wins are like the first tiebreaker, like that type of system, right?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I think that's where you see the fundamental. Like that's where you'll see the.
Somebody should ask Garry which one he's more against, the 3-point system
one should
or
be
the playoff system. What do you think?
That one should be gun to your head, pal.
That one would make him sweat.
He'd be like, shoot him now, shoot me now.
Yeah, you know what? Blow it all up. I funny enough, I'm with you, Dave. I just for some reason like the 3-point system. I just think it creates like more of, it would end up probably creating a little bit more separation early, which is I think what Garry Bettman probably doesn't want. He wants that close knit set of like the late season push for a lot of these teams. But I'm with you. I actually argued this for our class project where we had to do like an opinion piece. This was my suggestion, and honest to God, I tried so hard to come up with like a statistical argument for, and I was like, I chose a wrong topic, because it's very hard to argue for it, to be like, hey, Garry, look at these stats. And it would be hard to change his mind, because I feel like the way we talk about it, it makes sense to be like, hey, teams probably would feel this way or they would want to play, but there's no like analytics behind it, which suck because it's
subjective, I guess, right? Like there isn't like
it is subjective.
Yeah.
The only thing we have is the PWHL. Right?
Yeah,
like
but even then, like it's a 16 league, so the math
it's so different.
Isn't totally comparable. I think the happy medium here is just like give us the playoff changes, because I think if you go back to 1-8, you still have the close knit races throughout the season, which makes it more exciting. Because right now with the division, you're looking at a lot of races. Like, what's more exciting, the in-division races, or a lot of the times it's the wild card race? I feel like that's where you have 5 teams vying for 2 spots. True. That's where a lot of the attention goes. But it's not always the greatest hockey. Sometimes we look at the wild card race and it's a race to the bottom. We're like, who's gonna accidentally win a game here and end up in the playoffs, right? You don't want to be looking at the league like that. In the NBA, like in the Western Conference, like those top 4 or 5 seeds almost switch every week, right? And I think that's really fun. Is you make it fun to track throughout the year. We are getting that this season, like with the Atlantic Division. It's a 3-horse
Mhm.
race, maybe even a 4-horse race for those divisional spots. So that's, I think, what Garry had an idea of every single year. But this has been the exception, not the rule,
Once in
right?
a blue moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all those years, I'm pretty sure when you had Edmonton and LA, maybe except one, it's almost been always Vegas as the top seed. I think there was one year where it
Yeah.
was Calgary, right? When they ended up having the Oilers and Flames in round two. But
Yeah. I
that's
think
that's the
so.
exact same 1, 2, 3 setup, like 3 out of 4 years, right? So yeah, Garry,
Ugh,
please
Gary.
just give us something. Work with us here, brother. Work with
Work with
us.
us. Not asking for
Yeah.
much, but that's all I have.
Well,
I'll let you guys jump into some other thoughts here. But yeah, but good shots on the NHL GM meeting. Hopefully we see some change, but we'll see.
Yeah. Cheers, producer Mando. Thank you, bud.
thanks, Mando. All right. So, last season, it took till game 82. I believe they clinched on in the final game, or maybe game 81, for the Washington Capitals to punch their ticket into last season's um postseason, into their playoffs. And they were unceremoniously swept, like at the hands of the New York Rangers in 4 games last year. This year, though, the Washington Capitals look like, oh, they are the crown jewel this year. They are the first team to clinch a playoff spot. They are well on their way to winning a President's Trophy. I believe it would be their second or third President's Trophy in their history. Um, and we could potentially see, speaking of playoff matchups, we could potentially see a rematch of last year's first round, but this time in the inverse order, with the Washington Capitals as the first seed and the New York Rangers potentially as the second wild card, and facing against against the Capitals. Did I say the New York Rangers? I felt like I did I say them there? I don't even remember.
Yeah. These reverse roles of the matchup from last year. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Uh,
that would be really interesting to watch. Like, as
it's a
much
nice
as we said,
storyline. I like
we
that.
don't want to see repeat matchups and like stuff like that, but like,
This
anytime
is
you get
different
Rangers
seating though, right?
Caps.
This is like if it was we talked about like it's been one-sided.
Mhm.
It's cool to see the Caps as the big time favorites in this, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about this because I don't know if the Caps get enough respect, like as being to me,
I
like
don't
they
know
they
why.
honestly,
It
yeah,
feels like nobody's talking about them. Like, dude, Logan Thompson is genuinely like a top three goaltender in the league right now, and it feels like, well, okay, here's the thing. When you have Connor Hellebuck in your league and he's playing at like a
yeah.
918 plus, 920 plus save percentage, it's tough to get excited when you kind of know who's going to win the Vezina. But I mean, listen, I'm going to give kudos to Logan Thompson for even putting up a fight this late into
No
the
one would
year.
have
And
thought that, right? Brother got
yeah,
traded for a third round pick.
brother is quite literally on like league min, like under league min right now, like to bet on
Yeah.
himself. And he
Um,
he did get a bag from
yeah.
the Caps going
But a lot of
forward.
the credit
So
too, like I think even like Thompson would admit this, a lot of the credit for his numbers looking great is like the Carberry system. Um,
mhm.
this is another one where it's like if you're polling, probably not fans because I don't know how much they care, but let's say if you were polling NHL front offices, like I think Spencer Carberry polls very well just in terms of likability. He would get a very, very high approval rating.
Yeah,
So I think he
yeah,
gets a
maybe.
lot of credit. And it like you just look at these. Actually, I'm going to start here instead. Let's start with this has been something that's talked about. So I'm late on this. I'm not going to give you some crazy new information here, but Alexei Protas, brother, has been insane this season.
Dynamite. Yes.
I don't know if anyone, maybe our buddy Brian saw this
Brian.
coming,
Oh,
our resident Caps friend.
Yeah.
But he goes to
Brian
bat for
definitely knows.
everyone. Like he was
He
telling me,
does.
like we were walking the halls in grade 10, and he's like, Burakovsky's gonna be insane for us. He's gonna be a 40 goal scorer. He's like our Nylander. I don't know if we'd go that far, but hey, we all
He
swing and
was
miss. I
useful.
could yeah, I could reveal a lot of my bad Leafs takes, but Alexei Protas is the guy I want to highlight because specifically it's the even strength points. You know the stat here? Do you know where he is in the league?
Um, No, but give it to me.
Okay.
It's high. I know this for sure because I picked him up in
Yeah.
fantasy like midway through the season, and he
Mhm.
is a point machine. And you're saying just general points or just assists?
This is even strength points,
Even
points,
strength
just
points.
goals and assists add even strength. And the reason that we're highlighting this is because, and this is something that apparently like even Carberry's spoken to. The reason he's got so many even strength points is because they don't put him out on the power play because he basically would be playing the entire game. Okay. And you know what? Honestly, I'm looking at it. He actually like he's getting a steady amount of ice time. Like he's not getting overworked. He's only at 1630 time on ice per game. So it's interesting they don't want to use him too much on the power play. But that's kind of the rationale. He's very important for them on the penalty kill as well. Anyways, 63 points in 70 games, even strength of those 63, 58. 58 points at even strength of the
Holy
63.
hell.
That ranks seventh in the entire league. That is ahead of names like Sidney Crosby, Kyle Connor, Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, Mikko Rantanen. Like he's seventh in the damn league. I don't know if anybody would have expected that. So I think he's the number one name to highlight on the team. But it's also just like if you look at their
Dude, all their
yeah,
additions, like from this offseason, all their additions, Pierre-Luc Dubois, who they traded for, Logan
yeah,
Thompson, who they traded for, um,
Matt Roy, who they
Jake
signed,
Jacob Chikrin and Matt Roy, who
who
they
they traded
signed.
for.
Oh,
Even
they
Andrew
they
Mangiapane has been like a depth piece.
I think
Who I've
Andrew Mangiapane, if Andrew Mangiapane, who I think is just under 20 goals this year, I think he has like
he's at 13 goals, 25 points in 69 games. So like
if that is
he's
your
literally
most underwhelming addition to the thing, I
yeah,
think that's a
it's a
great
resounding success. Absolute
100%.
success. They are very much the anti Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
And I bought the goods on both teams. So I was all in on Nashville, and I've been that for 3 years. And that didn't go very well. But I was also pretty high on the Caps. I don't even think I was this high on like the Pierre-Luc Dubois factor is huge, right? Like that one 61 points in 70 games as well. They're top three just scorers by points. I don't know how many people would have had these three in the Caps top three if you were guessing before the season. Maybe you'd have had Dylan Strome after last year. He's their leading scorer with 68 points in 70 games, so he's just under point per game. Ovechkin with the injury is fourth, right? He did have the injury earlier in the year, so
Yeah.
it would probably be him. You're getting a career year out of Tom Wilson, who hit the 30 goal mark for the first time in his career. I think he's the second oldest player to hit 30 goal, like he's played the second most amount of games in the NHL before
Before
recording his
hitting.
first 30 goal season.
Who's the first, Zach Hyman?
You know what? I don't think it's Zach, right? Because Zach was a late bloomer. He was a late bloomer. Tom Wilson, I think, was in the league at like I
Oh,
want
that
to I
is
want to say a
true.
really young age.
Yeah,
I
that
know,
is
but
true.
like
You're talking
if you're
just in
looking at maybe
terms of
just
games and not age. Okay. Okay.
yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
might be right
So
on. Well, no, you definitely are right. Like he's
I
definitely got
believe
to
he's
be.
second.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like like
All
like
right.
I mean I'm saying I think he's this like he's played the second most games before hitting
Before
30
hitting
goals.
30. I'd be very curious,
Anyways,
producer
like you go
Mando, if you're listening.
you go down the list though, like it's just every name you're like career year, career year, career year. And I mean maybe that you don't think that's sustainable if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Um like Rasmus Sandin is another one who's been just solid
Yeah.
as a rock for them,
That one hurts.
right? So yeah, like it's so tough because you look at Dylan Cousins right now in Ottawa and how he, and in a very small sample size, is doing really, really well. And you're like the Sabres, they for all they want, they can say that one hurts, and it does. But you know that wasn't happening if he stayed there. You just know it for a fact. You
Yeah.
know it deep down. Maybe
And
it's not
here's the
that bad with
thing.
Sandine, but
Where is Sandine fitting in this current, like would you rather him in like a top
the
four spot right now or taking one of the guys currently off the Leaf roster?
so you know what the problem is that I think last year it would have been still a bit of an awkward fit. But if you had him this year in place of Oliver Ekman Larson, because I think he's making a mil more than OEL. So if you budgeted for that,
Okay.
you would just be happier like about your future outlook, I think. But once
Uh,
again, like there's a year in
yeah.
between there. You still got to pay Rasmus one more million. Like There's moving numbers there. You don't have Easton Cowan, which means if you traded Fraser Minton, you have like no top prospects. Like there's all the different
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I just think I really do think that for me, I would even go as far to say like they're a shoe-in for me on every bracket that I make ahead of the playoffs to go to the conference finals. Like I think they're coming out of the Metro side of the playoff bracket, no problem. I'm taking them over the Hurricanes. I'm taking them whoever they match up against. The Devils, unfortunately, are shells of themselves. We'll get to them in a minute, but like I
Yeah.
don't know. Like
Dude,
they're
I
very
think
high up on my Stanley Cup rankings right now.
like they are the best team in the Metro, like by points. And I think they're also so good that no other team in the Metro, at the very least, even touches them. Like I don't even think
Yeah.
Carolina's like close to the same level. Like they have pieces in Carolina that maybe could compete on some nights, but dude, getting to the conference final playing mostly Metro teams, let's say, 4 games, five. I would in the first round, I don't give whoever they play more than 5 games. I don't give them
Yeah.
like anybody.
Yeah. Here's the kicker too. So I talked about how Protash isn't actually playing that much. He isn't. Um, like who do you think their most played forward is per game?
Is it
I'm
Dylan
gonna give
Strom?
no, he's third.
Really?
The top five in time on ice is the defense. Tom Wilson plays 1841 a night. He is the most played per game forward on the Washington Capitals. And I think a lot of people don't think that Tom Wilson has like that many dimensions to his game where he can be relied upon like that. And
Yeah.
Carberry's been able to get that out of him. Ovechkin is number two, which I mean, I'm not going to go too crazy on because I think probably a lot of that is influenced by what he's going for
The
this year,
power
right? So
play.
there's
Yeah.
some of that. And then yeah, Dylan Strome 1729, Pierre-Luc Dubois 715. Basically, they're getting us close to maybe not rolling 4 lines, but I would say they're
Rolling
aiming to
3.
roll 3 lines.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they're a very balanced team. So I think the biggest knock on them that people have come up with is lack of star power. But just
It,
like
I didn't even want to hear that. Dude,
I just
you have
like the
Alex
balance.
Ovechkin. You have Alex Ovechkin. Like okay, like regardless of what you think of Alex Ovechkin in the year 2025 in terms of like his star power, like maybe he's not Alex Ovechkin of 10 years ago. Like he's not like he's older, whatever. All the knocks against
Yeah,
him, like in power play merchant. I've heard it all. That is still goddamn Alex Ovechkin that you have on your team any given
yeah,
night. Even if he's not a star, that is still one of the best captains in the NHL. That guy can get anybody to run through a wall. And I think that's a big part of like, he had his slump last year. He had a down season, but the whole team kind of had a down season. And now they're back in. He's bought in. The whole team is bought in. Like I think like, oh my God, I don't
I
know.
don't know if any
I
like I don't know if there's a more fully bought in team this year. Like I think a lot of times people would say the most bought in team to their system is the Hurricanes, but with everything that's happened there, they are not that team this year. They're not.
yeah, yeah.
The other option is I would say the Winnipeg Jets, right? And they're
I
both of
don't
these
trust the
teams are
Winnipeg Jets
leading their
either.
conferences. I yeah, it's not even I don't yeah, this is just like a hunch thing. I just really like what the Capitals have put together this year.
Yeah.
I do think they're low disrespected. I'm going to put one more cherry on top of this conversation. You want to talk about star power? They're going to be adding someone still. They're adding Ryan Leonard before the season ends. Like that's
Oh,
going to
I forgot
happen.
about Ryan Leonard.
Ryan
Damn.
Leonard, like he's going to be in the conversation. He might even be the favorite for the Hobie Baker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Is
remember how
when
awesome it
is
felt to add Matthew Nyes on our
Yeah.
roster?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
great
When
did
is
that feel?
the Frozen Four? Do we have the
Well,
dates for
so
the
think about when Matthew Nyes was in it. It timed up right about to the end of the season,
Yeah, like the
right?
last couple of games, I
Because he
think,
was in
right?
the final and he played what 2 games maybe before the playoffs started,
I think it
right?
was 2 games, yeah,
Yeah.
in
So
22,
that's
23.
usually so if they go all the way, if Leonard goes all the way, with Boston College, and chance of that for sure. Um, Even
Give
then,
him a little showcase, yeah.
we've also had like guys like Kale McCarr and producer Mando
M-
giving us
M-
here the first round for Frozen Four. Yeah, it's
March
literally
27,
and then you
28.
get the actual championship on the 12th. So
And I know April 12th is like I think the Leafs have 5 or 6 games after that.
It might
Like,
it might even be less, man. I think there's only 1 week after that, like until the regular season. I think the last day of the regular season is the 20th or the 19th.
oh, really? So, okay, so maybe it is like three or
Yeah.
four. Okay, so it's
Three or
probably like
four, yeah.
around the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Either
Okay,
way,
fair.
I'll give you two names. Like these are guys who debuted in the playoffs for their teams. Charlie McAvoy, Cale Makar. They helped their team's chances winning in the playoffs.
Pretty
And
good. Pretty good
pretty good.
guys.
Pretty good. Matthew Nyes helped us.
Pretty
And
good.
guess what? Ryan
Hey,
Leonard, he's better than Matthew Nyes. Like this is one of the best prospects not in the NHL right now. Okay.
brother,
So the star power argument,
Matthew Nice came in and helped
feel like a
Beliefs
glove.
do
Oh,
do their first, like, win a playoff series for the first time
yeah.
in 20 years. How many
Owns
people
Emily
came?
Arena.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of kind of
So
hoping that we get to see that again. I'm not gonna lie. But
I think he's
Ryan
gonna be one of
Leonard,
the bigger stories, man. I think he's gonna be
yeah.
someone who everyone's like, oh my God, this guy is
I
really changing how I think about the Capitals.
I think the Caps in general, like we talked about it last episode. So Ovi's now at goal 888. I don't think he scored any since. Did he
No,
score
I think
anything
he's at
since
888
Friday?
right now. He's at 888.
888. Dude, okay. I said it last week. We could genuinely see goal record this year and then
Yeah.
cup for
Yeah, so I mentioned like that. I think we were saying that's like the best way to ride out into the sunset, right?
yeah.
But he has the other year on his deal. So, but I still think
He's
they're going to
coming
be here for the
back.
long haul. They're going to be here for
Is
the
he?
long haul.
Okay. Okay. All
He's
right.
coming back. He's coming back. Okay.
Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
spend. We got 4 minutes left. I'm going to run through the Keefe thing really quick because I do
Yeah,
have some
go.
thoughts here. Long story short, Sheldon Keefe singled out Jonathan Kovacevic of the New Jersey Devils after they lost 3-2 Saturday night against Ottawa. Okay. Kovacevic spoke first, basically said, we gotta like hope that we get into that playoff style here down the stretch. We're like in a race. And reporter was basically saying to Keefe, hey, so Kovacevic said this in the end, and he gets cut off by Keefe, and Keefe just says bluntly, Kovacevic just needs to play better, okay? And that's how they ended the press conference. I have never seen Sheldon Keefe
Oh.
explicitly single out someone like that. Can you recall that ever with the Leafs? Like the one that we talk about is the
Uh
4-4 call out. That's the closest we've
yeah.
ever come,
I
right?
guess it
And he
wasn't one
walked that
person
back
at
two
that
days
point.
later. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even count because he walked it back. I can think of maybe times, or maybe he's done it to like Camp, right? Because you remember there was the one game where Camp was healthy scratched, and we're like, but Camp's playing a little, like he's decent. But Kovacevic, okay, I'm gonna give you some stats here for Mr. Kovacevic. His box score on the night, it's zeros across the board. He took a penalty, played 17:41, which like second, I think no, third least on the Devils blue line. He was on for a power play goal against. I watched the shift. It wasn't his fault. Like he had like a midnight. Okay. Let's go back further then. Let's like
Okay.
maybe this is leading up to something, right? Last 10 games, Kovacevic is the only Devils blue liner with an expected goals for percentage above 50%. Okay. So he is, as far as driving play goes, he's been their best guy over the past 10 games played. He's already set a career high in points and assists this year. Okay. He's at 17 points right now. His career high
Okay.
in goals came last year, 6 with Montreal. So he's only got one right now. But he's playing 1945 a night. His second highest average was 2 years ago with Montreal, 1725. So 2.5 minutes more per game, this guy is being relied upon. Is setting the career high production wise. Signed an extension with the Devils this month, March 7th. He signed $4 million times 5-year extension. Okay. They already lost Dougie Hamilton and Jonas Siegenthaler to season-ending injuries, and Jack Hughes. Okay. So the remaining blue line, like I think you can make an argument. He's like their third best defenseman left right now in the middle of not a playoff race because I think they're pretty well in, but you're jockeying for position still. They've got Luke Hughes, Brett Pesce, Dumoulin, Kovacevic, Brendan Dillon, and Dennis Cholowski right now. Maybe Simon Nemec gets more games, but like I can make an argument that Kovacevic is your number 3. This is a really weird spot for Keefe to kind of make this call out, but I'm not gonna I'm not decided one way or another. Like, do we, and we're not going to have time much maybe to get into it, but you can either dislike Keefe for calling out Kovacevic, given that stuff I outlined. He's playing well and he's being relied upon more. Or is this a consequence of Keefe, being in a different organization and it's actually a breath of fresh air that this is how he's always wanted to coach? We never saw this with the Leafs that he would be willing to call someone out.
I think that's something that he's always wanted to do.
Right.
I don't think he ever had the power to do it. It is, for me, just a very weird person to call out. Like, I don't know if that's the guy.
So he's not a core guy. He's not a core guy, but he is someone of consequence given the injuries right now. Okay. I'm gonna leave us with this last question. Maybe we get into it, and depends on how the Leafs week transpires here. But at what point do you have like a big enough sample size from Berube and Keefe's time outside of Toronto to just start pointing the finger inward for the lack of like accountability in terms of public accountability from the coach?
I don't think
Berube, he did it with Kyrou and Thomas.
I think our answer still comes from
we already
higher
had
up.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope the Leafs have a great week and we don't have to talk about it.
I hope so too. On that note, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow all of our socials and stick around for next week.